Welcome to a very special Conquest Call-In Show. Normally, I'm joined here with Preston, but today I've got my fellow LAFB star, Coach Rowe. You guys know him, number 39 in the program, but number 1 in our hearts from USC back in the day. We're going to be going live. This is one of our special shows. I said, when news pops up, we have our normal show at Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. But if news pops up, we got to go live. And Press is not able to be here tonight, but Coach Rowe, I know, will do an amazing job for you guys. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. If I'm number 1 in people's hearts, it depends on the day and what I say.
Well, I'll tell you what, you haven't got much wrong lately. I think we've all seen this going. So for anybody who's been living under a rock, big news came out late last night. I threw a tweet out because I really thought that, the timing was kind of, a bit suspect. But Lincoln Riley and US, it was linked out that Jayden Maiava is going to be QB1 at USC. And it comes at a very strange time, your good old fashioned news dump on a Friday. Well, this is a great time to do it because you had the last night, 10 o'clock at night, you got the election coming up today. You have the release of the
football playoff,
the first playoff poll, and you had an NFL trade deadline today. So what a time to throw something out there if you kind of want to make not too many waves with the story. We can read into that all they want. But also, big point, Coach, is that we're going into a bye week. How is that bye week going to help Riley get this offense ready under a new quarterback?
Well, the thing that helps him, he'll be able to establish a playbook, right? This is not like, but very similar to the Holiday Bowl where Miller Moss had the 15 practices to get ready for that bowl game. Maiava, in terms, gets 10 days, so he gets 5 less days, but you get to establish a playbook, you get to establish a game plan, and you get to see what works and what doesn't work. He also gets some types of reps in with the first team. He gets his timing down. Timing is key. And I think that's one of the things that happened with Miller Moss is they never got the timing down with the receivers. So hopefully we get timing down, and those small things help. 10 practices is plenty. We'll call it 9 because Friday's a walkthrough. So we'll call it 9 practices is plenty, I think, for him to at least be ready. And I think the opponent that he's going to get is a perfect opponent for him. It's a perfect tune-up game for him leading into the next 2 games after that, which are pretty big games on USC schedule.
Yeah, they get to go up against Nebraska, and they get to go as a Tony White defense. Guys, if that sounds familiar, a lot of you guys wanted. When we were talking about defensive coordinators, Tony White's name popped up. It was a big name. He comes from a rocky long tree. He kind of did his work over at San Diego State, and he's been over. And man, USC has wanted him in a big way. I remember the fans going nuts for him. So they do have no task against them. You might also be familiar when we do play them. A certain cornerback that played very well here at USC, Sarah Wright, is also balling out great for Nebraska right now. He's a member of a very veteran secondary. So listen, we're taking your calls tonight, 888-997-4539. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind. A lot of you guys have been waiting for a long time. I've been hearing it in my DMs. I've been hearing it in our chat. We've even had people calling in left, right, and center. Give us a call. Let us know what you think about the move. A lot of people I've been hearing now, but one thing I really want to be very clear with, we can do this and we can do it without disparaging any Trojans. I'm telling you right now, I have a lot of leeway. You can come at me. You can call me out every name in the book, but we're going to be respectful to everybody on this team. So make sure that we do show that Trojan class. Coach, so you were obviously been in situations in locker rooms and you have leaders on the team. When you have a guy like Miller, who's been one of the captains for the majority of the year, they're doing this thing this year where you don't have a captain for the whole year. It's been game by game, which is kind of strange. I've never heard of that ever in my life. What's it like when one of the leaders in the team, gets demoted to a different role?
It just all depends how the leader reacts, right? And the best way you can look at this is kind of look at it like an injury. It's not the same thing as an injury, but you could definitely look at it as an injury. It just depends how he handles the situation and what he does with it. If he distances himself with it, then it's not going to be great at all. And now you're creating more of a culture. And I talked about this. It should be coming up either on tomorrow or the following day after. But there's a culture issue that Lincoln Riley has. So Miller Moss could be the best person to fix this culture issue that USC does have. But I think it needed to happen, and right now was the perfect time to happen. A lot of people were calling for it, right? And be careful what you ask for, because now the chicken's coming home to roost, and you made your bed and we have to land it. You can't call for another quarterback if these 3 games don't go right. Like, we're at where we are at. So, I mean, we're getting what we're asking for, and it is what it is. But I think it's all, like, I'll just circle back. It just depends how Miller Moss handles the situation. If he's there helping Maiava the whole time and he's being a good teammate, I think it helps the culture, it helps the locker room. If he distances himself, it creates a big problem.
Yeah, that will be interesting. It's got to be hard for him. I thought about this almost right away. This is a young man. Caller, sorry, we'll be right with you 1 second. Thanks for calling in. This is a young man that's been a Trojan fan his entire life. And this is his first year, coach. And it's got to be gut-wrenching to lose your starting position. But, man, I'm telling you, this is probably a kid that dreamed about playing, against Notre Dame in the Coliseum, at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. So anyone's heart must go out to Miller Moss. I mean, the guy could have left. He could have up and packed his stuff up when the Will Howard stuff happened, like another quarterback that was on our roster did. But he didn't. He said, "I don't care who's coming in. I'm going to fight for it." And he came in and he's gave it his all. And like anyone that thinks, I'm telling you guys right now, anyone that thinks that Miller Moss is the reason why USC lost these games, you guys aren't following football very much. No. Because a couple of things. One, the first 3 games. This is his best game, I think, really, honestly, even better than the Louisville game, was that Michigan game. Yeah, that's right, the Michigan game. The second half of that Michigan game, the way that dude took all those hits, stayed in there, and still put USC in a position to win that game if the defense makes a stop, I don't know, man. It's just something about the whole thing where a lot of fans are turning on Miller, just making really ignorant comments, Coach. You could have a change that's needed and not resort to that kind of stuff. So
you know my reaction to that. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize about that. But my reaction to that is, it's easy for you to sit on your couch and say somebody's bad and they're not doing a good job, right? That's the easiest thing to do. But how would you like it if Miller came to your job and stood over your shoulder and said, "Nope, you did that wrong. You pressed the wrong key. How did you make that mistake?" You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to see it from behind the TV screen. I still think that he is still pro ready because he plays in the pocket very well. I think, and I was having a conversation with somebody today. Miller Moss is going to have a Sam Darnold moment. It may not be next year, it may not be 2 years from now, but he's going to be in the NFL. Quarterback's going to go down. Miller Moss is going to come in and end up being a starter quarterback in the NFL. I still think that. I still think it's perfect. The hard part for me right now is, and I talked to a buddy who was a pro scout, and he said Miller Moss was a second-round guy, and I talked to him again. He was like, man, it's tough. He has the second-round talent, but he's probably going to fall late. But it is what it is. He's for sure a great backup, and he's an NFL guy. They on that team's board, they have him under the most pro-ready guy on the board. But talent and everything else, but they say he's their most pro-ready guy in college football right now.
You said someone comes to. It's almost like we'll do a Ryan Abraham food analogy here. It's almost like you're the chef back there, right? No, sorry, you're the waiter, and the chef, overcooks the steak, and you got to bring the steak out, and they start yelling at you because a lot of these games, again, I'm going to say it. Miller Moss in some of these games was the only reason why they were in the game. He wasn't getting the support. They weren't running the ball enough. They weren't taking a lot of the pressure off of him. But again, as we talked about, I think it was Lincoln Riley. I always say this. I was talking to Gabe. I talk to Gabe a lot. And we were talking about how he said that no player is good enough to overcome catastrophic turnovers. He was, at the time, he was talking about Joyner and his fumble, right? And they sat him. But Miller, I mean, now the caveat is he's throwing the ball 50 times a game. There's going to be interceptions thrown. But the interceptions timing was just like, they were just backbreakers. And, and that had to be wearing on the conversation. So, hi, caller. Are you ready, Coach? Let's go some calls. You think so?
Yeah, let's go. Let's jump in.
All right, caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Sam from Leavenworth, Kansas.
Wow.
Sam, thanks for calling in. How you doing?
Good. My question is, why do you think Lincoln Riley told the media that Jayden Maiava was going to start? Shouldn't we have surprised Nebraska with the quarterback change?
Okay, so I'll let Coach go because he probably knows. Obviously, he played. But my guess is you're not going to talk to the media before you talk to the player. I think he wanted to pull Miller aside, have that conversation with him personally, not in front of the media. Coach, is that pretty close?
Yeah, they for sure had the conversation Sunday, Monday. They for sure had the conversation. I don't think it's so much a surprising Nebraska, because if they wanted to surprise Nebraska, they would have not told anybody, and then Maiava would have ran out on the field on the first series.
Yeah, but I thought Jayden Maiava played pretty well in limited play time.
Right. I get what you're saying, but it's not a surprise to Nebraska now that they have 10 days to prepare for them compared to not having any days, and then when they get the ball, Maiava is the starting quarterback. Not telling them at all is a bigger surprise, but now that you know, the only surprise is where do they go in the playbook. It's hard to game plan against them, but it's not much of a surprise. I think this was a change that everybody knew was coming, and it was coming at this time. The bye week was the best time to do it. You couldn't do it in the middle of the season, and he had to make a strategic decision with the roster that he has and the injuries that he's going with. So I think right now was the best time that he had to do it.
Yeah, your thoughts?
I think Jayden Maiava will play well. He has a strong throwing arm, and he's more mobile. So I think the offensive line will not get to Jayden as much as it was getting to Miller.
I see. And to me, that is one of the things that kind of bothers me is when people say he's more mobile. He's more mobile. Well, let's look at it.
Yeah.
Would you take Tom Brady or Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray's more mobile, right? Would you take Aaron Rodgers, who's not as mobile, or would you take a Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts is more mobile, right? The mobility thing is not a issue. The issue is being able to call yourself an offensive guru and not being able to adapt to the talent that you have around you. That's what good head coaches do, i.e. Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe, Tua Tagovailoa. Just the fact that Saban's changed in the last half of his career to more of a passing than a running offense.
Yeah.
If you're a good coach, you could change your offense for your players to succeed.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, caller?
Yeah. That's about it. I was just wondering why they decided to name him the starter, go to the media, and then not surprise Nebraska with him coming out in the huddle. I thought that would have been interesting, him coming out in the huddle, because they would practice all for 2 weeks thinking Miller Moss was the starter, and then Jayden Maiava comes out. I thought that would have been interesting to surprise them with a trick.
Yeah, well, I mean, with 2 weeks going to the bye and everything, it'd be kind of hard. I mean, word's going to get out, so you want to control that conversation most likely. So listen, great call. Appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Fight on, and hope you call again.
Yeah.
Tim, before you go to your next call, I'm my fault. Before you go to your next call, Tim, I just pulled up a stat. This guy's the face of the NFL right now, so you kind of know who he is. He's a quarterback. His college career, he threw 29 interceptions. His sophomore year, he threw 15, and he had 573 pass attempts. So what I'm getting at is when you throw the ball a lot, it's a risky situation. You're gonna pick a lot. So that's all I'm saying. So this just on your comment for the interceptions. I just had to pull that stat up and just let you.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what I was saying. A lot of people are getting on those interceptions, but if you look at the last game he had, sure, he did throw the interceptions, but one of them,
two of them.
Well, one of them went off the hands of a receiver, and I don't want to name it, which it seemed like he stopped on the route a bit. He held up, he was settling in. He didn't want to go all the way across, underneath that zone. And then the other one was the Hail Mary. I'm not calling either one of those against him, but the other, But man, he got lucky on that one. And that's when, you know, the conversation is like, man, he is seeing ghosts. He's pushing too hard. When Gabe brought the point that, you know, he was throwing interceptions on fade routes, even if it's to branch, you know, running fades, whatever, but at least it was to like safeties and corners, right? And nickelbacks. When you're throwing it straight to the linebacker, something's going on. And that's the conversation we've been having really for since the last game, when after the post game, I just said, he just doesn't look the same. You know, he doesn't look like that same Miller Moss that we saw. And that's going to happen, coach. You take enough hits, you know, he's exiting a clean pocket. LV was talking about that with me. He's rolling out of a clean pocket. And when he should be sitting in that pocket, like he had been, and we're just stepping up. It just seemed like he didn't trust that line, you know, and he was pushing too hard.
I agree. And then, so everybody's talking about the pick that he threw to the defensive end. And I said this on our live on Sunday. I said 100% of us would throw that same pick. You see the guy who's lined up at defensive end, and the next thing you know, he drops back into coverage, and you see that read wide open. That was a heck of a defensive call, and he caught him. Like, that happens a lot. That happens in the NFL. That happens a lot. So that one isn't a bad pick. It was just the right defensive call at the right time. It happened to pay off. I don't think that was a bad read. Every one of us would have made that read. We'd have said, oh, that's wide open. They're in fire zone. I'm throwing that slant right now. The end decides to drop back. Nobody will see it at all.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was surprising to see him do that because, again, one thing that Miller has prided himself in, and we've always really – why Miller was there is because of his IQ, his pre-snap looks, you know, his ability to look for the open guy. That's why that was just kind of uncharacteristic. I get you with that guy dropping, that end dropping into that zone coverage. That I get it, but threw it right to him, coach. So yeah. I got you. Hi, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening. It's me, Avery.
What's up, Avery?
Hagerstown. What's going on? How y'all doing?
Good, Avery. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I got me a hot take tonight. I'm ready. What's up?
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so I tried to articulate this point on a message board and totally screwed it up. So I'm gonna make sure I get it right out here on the National Pundit with you. So here's what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's a mobile quarterback. Doesn't matter if it's a dual quarterback. Lincoln Riley's really got to get back to USC football up under center. And so the front of the congregation, I would like to call out Coach Gannon for the Arizona Cardinals, who took Kyler Murray having 5% of snaps up under center, so in 1 year increasing him to 25%. And how I want to correlate that to USC is, well, when we were at our finest, that's what we were doing, lining up, playing up under center football, handing the ball off, play action, bootleg, etc. And as I told you on the last show, we've gotten so far removed from that. Also, this would have been the ideal year to get back to the basics on a basic balanced playbook for a guy like Miller Moss, right? What's the kid's name? Jacoby Lane. That should have been Mike Williams, Dwayne Jarrett, Kyron Hudson, and everybody else should have been Steve Smith. And like all the pieces were there to play that basic role for what it is that USC is. I mean, let's be very transparent. USC was one of the last schools to ultimately go to the shotgun in the early 2000s, right? So Lincoln's got to get back to who and what we are. This would have been the ideal year to have the two-back set, right? That's a USC thing. Remember when we had the three? Stephon Gable, Joe McKnight, CJ. I mean, like we've always had a plethora of backs that we've played everybody. It's always been like that with the receivers, but we still had our 1 and 2s. Lincoln's just gotten away from a lot of it, man.
Yeah, I would have.
Going to be at the quarterback position.
I would have, Avery. Again, I've been calling for it. I'm a big Quinton Joyner fan. I've heard Coach Rowe, also a Quinton Joyner fan. It's not like you want to take. You know, I think Woody is your running back one. Okay, he is that guy is super. He's underrated. People just don't. They're underrating Woody. He's special. But, you know, a switch of, you know, just switch him up late in games. He's hard. I mean, when you look at him, Woody's strong. But when I see Quinton run the ball, it's like guys bounce off him. He's got those big thighs, you know, those big running back thighs, and dudes are just bouncing off him. He almost never goes down on first contact, and he's always getting at least back to the line and then some. He's putting out more of a hit that he's ever taken, Coach. And so I'm wondering, when you throw the ball 50 games last game, why not throw it 40 times and then mix in Quentin Joyner? Because the second part of this is Quentin Joyner's dad's not happy, and I don't blame him. I mean, this kid could be playing almost anywhere in the country. He's from Texas, and I know a couple of schools right around that area would love to have him as a running back. And it's just a shame because he couldn't be a difference maker for this team.
I would say this, and if I was to talk to Quentin Joyner's dad, I would say that I think the only reason why he's not getting the ball as much as people think he should be getting the ball is because I think they're trying to save his body because he is going to be the bell cow next year. That's the only thing I can say. I would say the first thing I wanted you butchered all my teammates' name. It's Stephon Johnson, CJ Gable, and Joe McKnight. The problem with going back to Smash Mouth football is, are you willing to have Iowa type games? Are you willing to have Michigan type games? Are you willing to have Army, Navy type games? Smash Mouth football takes a lot off the clock. And to be honest with you, the fullback doesn't exist anymore. So who's going to be your fullback? You could do it out of there. You can run power, but just lining up in the I formation is a thing of the past, and you have to adapt to the game. That's just like lining up in old school 4-3. Nobody really does that anymore. It's really 4-2-5 schemes with the extra defensive back just because where the game is gone. So it'll be a hard get to find a fullback for you to run any type of counter, power, lead, or any type of ISO. We just have to learn how to adjust. And I don't think it's so much of not playing Smash Mouth football. I think it's more of the air raid scheme. If it was more run and shoot, Urban Meyer style, Chip Kelly's type offense where you run the ball a little bit more, you run a little bit of midline in it, or you have some type of counter and you do run power with the tight end that's like an H-back, I think we'll be more satisfied than just this air raid scheme where we're running power and counter with just two pulling guards, which is a lower success rate than if you do have a H-back.
Yeah, well, I mean, true, yeah. I mean, I liked what they were doing, though, Coach, with the H-back. You bring Eldridge around, and they were actually lining up a couple times. You would see Lake McCree before he got hurt, lining up as a fullback. But, I hear you saying that center of gravity and just hitting that hole like a true 39 fullback would do. then you know that fullback position. I know it's dear to your heart. Avery, anything else for us?
Hey, I respect that. You know what I'm saying? There's no traditional fullback. I mean, even when Lane was here, Rhett Ellison was getting it done. I get what you're saying. I just feel like we still can incorporate some of it now to have a balance, and it would be, to me, a little more beneficial as opposed to. I honestly still see some of the same concepts in the offense from Graham Harrell and the gumbo offense with T. Martin and Clay Helman. So I mean, I don't really see, just don't see it.
Yeah. No. I agree with you. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe I didn't explain it well enough. So Lincoln Riley runs.
Man, I just was trying to get it out. I apologize. I don't want.
No. You're fine. It's on my end. So Lincoln Riley runs more of an air raid. Chip Kelly, Urban Meyer, even the guys at Penn State, they run more of a gap scheme, and they're more of a run first offense. And so their power, they have true H-backs. Lake McCree's a tight end. You know what I mean? Rhett Ellison was a tight end. But Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon used to have it. They have true H-backs who will get up there and down and dirty or gritty blockers. We don't have that down and dirty, gritty type of blocker that will be the lead guy to run the old school football. Now, is it too late to get it? No, that's what recruitment is for. So it is possible, but we don't have that because our roster is more built for the air raid, up tempo, fast compared to the guys who are true run first, true gap scheme guys. If that blames it a little bit more, if that explains it a little bit better.
Yeah, and if we all had, I mean, I love Lake McCree, but to Penn State, the Penn State guy, Warren, that guy plays 11 positions for you guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the tight end role, and even Riley to a degree, he doesn't go full on, Kolnicki just scheming him open left and right, which I would, by the way, wish they would do with Lake McCree. The guy is super talented. I mean, if he's 100% healthy, we really need to get Lake more involved in the game, because when he's when he's making catches, this offense seems to roll a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, no doubt.
I agree with you. For us?
No, man. Just glad to call and talk to you guys. Appreciate you having something going on Tuesday, man. So, thanks, man.
Yeah, no, thank you, Avery. Again, Avery is our world traveler, or at least our our United States traveler. I never know where he's going to pop up. So, Avery, thank you for calling in as always. Yeah, we just wanted to hop on really quickly and just kind of talk about it. I really thought there'd be more people that were interested in talking about the whole Miller Moss Maiava conversation, but we missed 2 phone calls. But guess what, Coach? I think we're done. We're out of phone calls.
Oh, really?
We can relax and talk about whatever we want now.
Oh, there we go. Until they start calling again, let's come up with a hot take. I will say this though, and I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna reiterate it. Be careful what you ask for, right? And everybody wanted this change, but we don't know what we're going to get out of this change. And we know we're getting a talented quarterback, and we understand that he's more athletic and those types of things. But be careful what you're asking for. He's playing up a level now. And it's just a little bit scary. We might get a Cam Ward situation, or we might get a situation where they could drop 0-3, and then you guys will start blaming Maiava. Just be careful what you're asking for. If he does go 0-3, if he does, be patient with him. He still has a whole nother year. Like, let's not run this kid out of town. Like, this is what we wanted. We made our beds. Let's lie in it. And we just have to be careful what we ask for. And it's here now, and now we have to live with it. And we have to live it all the way out until middle of next year, if anything. And then I'm pretty sure people will be calling for Juju if it's the same situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do think, again, things with Miller started out strong. Again, everyone's happy. I mean, everyone's Miller time. Everyone's excited, and it just shows you, Coach. That's what I'm saying. It's a great reminder to people because, fan bases turn fast on people, and you got to remember. I mean, Jayden is the thing that Miller had was Miller had been in the system for 3 years. Yeah, and Jayden has been, he knows the playbook, he knows how to run the offense. The issue is how much they can open up the playbook to him. I really do think that he has all the physical tools in the world. He seems like a bright young man. He does seem, the way the ball comes off his hand, it's just amazing. He does have all the physical tools you could ask for in a quarterback. And let's just hope that the team around him is going to place the ball, because we still have receivers dropping balls. There was a receiver that got hit right in the hands on an early drive on a 3rd down, and that wasn't Miller. Miller Moss put the ball exactly where it went. And sometimes his receivers this year aren't helping him. This is a young quarterback. He came in that game though, Coach, and I know it was against Utah State at the very end, but he did have a bit of a moxie to him. I mean, he's not brand new. People didn't realize it, but going into the game, he had more experience from playing than Miller did. Obviously, Miller only played really in the bowl game, and he did some light mop up duty. But Jayden had been a quarterback for the majority of the year. So I mean, although he was a redshirt freshman, I think it's not like he's new to the game. And when he came into the game, I really liked it also. The last game he came into against Rutgers, when he just took the ball on that and the read option and it just took off. It just went. He didn't even hesitate really. He just went off the left side and ran the ball for like 15 yards. That's what you're going to get from here. This defense is good. They're going to have to account for him, Coach. Talk about the difference between having a quarter. So we're not going into all the details of it, but talk about the advantages, right? Where you have to have a spy, or you truly maybe if you have to spy him, then that's one less guy in the secondary that they have for coverage, and someone's got to account for him.
Yeah, and so it goes to counting numbers, right? So you account for the running back, but now you have to count for the running back and the quarterback. It changes up your whole game plan, because I don't even know if Nebraska plays this week. I'm not sure. I don't follow Nebraska that closely. I really don't care about Nebraska. But if Nebraska has to play this week, and now they have 1 week to prepare for it, now they have to prepare for true RPO. They have to prepare for a running quarterback. They have to prepare for probably a different game plan altogether. in 4 days, and that's pretty tough. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of time to prepare for that compared to these 10 days that SC has to prepare and put together a game plan with 9 games worth of work, and get to put in a new offense and get to experience a new quarterback and go kind of to like back to a Caleb Williams-esque offense. So I'm not saying that he won't get it done, and I'm not saying he won't be exciting. What I'm saying is just give him some time. I guess I should say that. Just give him some time and just let this thing pan out. Like we can't we can't become a team that has a rotating door with head coaches, right? Once we get rid of Lincoln Riley and we bring Barry Odom in, we got to give Barry Odom some time. And that's just in case you didn't know, that's my number one favorite to replace Lincoln Riley is Barry Odom. And then, we got to give these quarterbacks a little bit of time, especially these young guys. Like the next quarterbacks that we're going to have Maiava, who's pretty young. We're going to have Julian Lewis, who's young. And then we're going to have the guy from Folsom, who's young, right? We're not building. That's a different topic for a different day. But just the way we're building the roster, these guys are getting rushed in, and we're relying on athletic ability, and we're not relying on skill and coaching and improvement, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense. I mean, people are like already like you looking at 2026 for Rider Lions and all the different cast of characters that Lincoln Riley's bringing in. We want, I said it earlier in the year, everyone wants there to be a quick fix. And again, unfortunately, our situation is it would be great if there was a quick fix, but there's not. And there's a lot going on. I'm wanting to believe the NIL situation's fixed. Riley's talked about, we just need 4 or 5 wins. No, we needed 4 or 5 more dudes. Do you know what I mean? Like dudes in the trenches. We needed some tackle depth, either defensive tackle and offensive tackle depth. That's what this team really, really needed badly. I thought that we'd fade down the stretch with injuries because we didn't have the depth. We were fading in early October because we got hit by a slew of injuries, and that happens. That's football. But most teams have some veteran depth, some guys behind it. We have players. We got great players of depth, but we don't have veteran depth, and I think that's where USC ran into trouble. They tried plugging in some young guys, and the guys played well, but you can't expect these young guys to come in and play up against 5th-year and 6th-year seniors and bode well on the line.
Like, can I vent about that real quick now that you brought that up?
Yeah.
And this has been kind of a sore topic for me, and I've talked about it multiple times, but there's a new platform, maybe some new listeners. It doesn't make sense to me that if Woody Marks goes down, there's 2 guys behind Woody Marks that Woody Marks won't even be missed. And I say that in a depth way. It doesn't make sense to me that if one receiver goes down, it doesn't change anything with the receivers. It doesn't make sense to me that there's even depth at the O-line. But if a defensive lineman goes down, there's such a drop-off. If a defensive back goes down, there's such a drop-off. If a DB goes down, there's and I love Zion Branch. I see something in Zion Branch that I don't think a lot of people see. And Zion Branch, I just hope he comes back next year because Zion Branch is going to be a guy. Just give him some time. He's coming off injury, but he's a backup. There's such a difference between the depth and the defense and the offense, and that's where I think Lincoln Riley failed. He did not build a full team. He built his offense, and it's showing time and time again, and now it's showing regression because, like I said, we went from 10 wins to 7 wins. Now we might get 6. Like, if we keep going on this trend, eventually we're going to be at 0. Like, we're not building any depth on the defense, and you're saying that, like, our guys got hurt on defense, and most of the injuries on defense, and we had to replace young guys. But why are we not at a point we're USC. Why are we not at a point to where if somebody went out, if somebody goes hurt, we should be able to plug and play? That's what all the elite schools do, and we're considering ourselves to be an elite school. We're supposed to be the mecca of college football, but you're not building the roster as a mecca of college football. You're building the offense to be this mecca of college football. That's just my rant. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I think that you on the defense side of the ball, I think there's some pretty good depth at linebacker. Matter of fact, we got some really great young linebackers coming in. I mean, and then our corners. The problem is we have kind of like the issue we had in 2022 with the offensive line. We're going to be losing a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of this talented defense.
Mostly
this
all of them.
defense, we're going to need guys to step up. But I mean, I believe in guys like Marcellus Williams. I think he's going to be something really special at USC. I think Braylon Shelby and Cameron Fountain, it's kind of hard, on the defensive line to come in right away, be an impact guy on the defensive line, just like it is difficult to come in and be an impact guy right away on the offensive line. I mean, Elijah Hughes has been flashing a little bit here and there. I really love what I saw Sam Green in the last game, and he was setting that edge. He was getting to the quarterback. There are guys, there are young pieces, Coach. They're there. The thing is, it just seems like this year those guys are a little bit young, and the reason why is because there wasn't depth on the lines coming in. I mean, that's the one thing Lincoln Riley's been able to bring in your Addisons, your Caleb Williams, Jayden Maiavas, guys like that. You can bring them in. The problem USC is having is landing consistently the interior linemen. I mean, you can't tell me if USC got a couple of top-notch interior defensive linemen and a couple of tackles, regardless of who was at quarterback this year, regardless of how many times we ran the ball, this would be a hell of a lot difference. The difference started and really pretty much ends to me on the offensive line. And they just have not been able to get the offensive line together this year.
Also, I just learned that Elijah Page is like a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore or something like that. Like, and people are beating up on a redshirt freshman or redshirt, whatever he is. Elijah Page is going to end up being a first-round draft pick. Yeah. Like, and the reason why I say that, like, you put him in the fire, he got beat up, and he's going to learn how to become a Big Ten lineman. Like, at the end of the day, and we talked about this last week on Salute to Troy. You said Elijah Page has learned how to become a Big Ten lineman. He's using his wingspan. He's now mauling guys. Just think about in 2 or 3 years how good this kid is going to be. I don't think the line is so much bad. I think it's the youth. You know what I mean? I like Aloha Nada. I like Elijah Page. There are pregnant and those guys are leaving, but I think I think the O-line was more young and not cohesive compared to skill, if that makes sense. And I think with Elijah Page and Aloha Nada and all these youngsters, and they bring in and they create something, I think they will be a lot better. But the problem is, by the time they get a lot better, is there going to be any changes record-wise? And will Lincoln Riley still be the head coach? Because at this point, he's running out of time. You know what I mean? So that's just what I see. That's how I evaluate it.
They need this. They really need this class to stick together. This defense line, because they have on the offensive line and the defensive line for the past couple of years. Now, the first year they got here, there just wasn't enough time to recruit. That recruiting class was almost, really high school wise was just almost ways. But on the lines they have been recruiting, I mean, last year, I'm a big fan of Ratmana Bulabulavu. That guy is I think, can be Carlin Jones. You're going to see, we have the nucleus of young guys, but they're going to be, young guys, and you can't rely on young guys to be that position. So at some point, this NIL, I mean, you look at Ohio State, they're bragging about they're spending $20 million on their recruit, on their NIL.
Yeah.
You have Oregon, who's spending God knows how much on their NIL. Coach, who are the two best teams pretty much in the Big Ten?
Oregon and Ohio State. They
definitely have the best rosters. Indiana's going to have something to say about that, but they definitely have the best rosters. And it kind of helps if you have, there's always an age-old conversation about the Jimmies and Joes or the X's and O's. It's both. Look at your Pete Carroll teams. It's both. Could you could have all the Jimmies and Joes. If you don't have the coaching, then you end up with teams that look really great and then fade in the big games, kind of like Ohio State has done a lot of. They've had great rosters, but they just can't get over that hump. I think that's coaching. It's not the Jimmies and Joes. It's the X's and the O's. So you need both. And the problem with USC is it just seems like they haven't been able to get out of their own ways when it comes to NIL, when it comes to roster building. Now, I will tell you, I'm glad to hear that Jen Cohen and USC are looking to have that GM type role, Coach, where you have a situation where you literally, because this is what it is now. This is not, you can't have your wide receivers coach as your recruiting coordinator anymore. Those days are gone. You need to have a person there that's working on the contracts, to understand the money behind everything, building a roster, having a team around him in order to get these rosters put together. This is not old school recruiting. And when they get that GM in there, It released a lot of responsibility from the coaches and everyone, and they can get in there and they can do their job, like you're seeing with the Oregons, like you're seeing with the Alabamas of the world. That's roster construction in the 2020s.
The question is, and I've been seeing a lot of these GM jobs. The question is, and I don't know because it's kind of new to me, but like, what guys are they picking up for these GM jobs? Like, are they picking up like the street agents? Are they picking up legit people like building rosters? Are they picking up like old NFL GMs? Do you know anything? I don't know much about it, and I see it every now and then. But who are these guys that are the GMs? Because I know Alabama's GM is like legendary, but who are these GMs? Are they just like old recruiting coordinators that are now general managers for like college football? How does it work? Do you know anything about it?
No, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's more like I just said, it's not really the traditional recruiting coordinator. It's more the guys that are just roster development and have the connections and can work the NIL aspect of this thing, making it more professional. Do you know what I mean?
I'll take that job. You heard me? I'll take that job. I'll take that job all day.
I mean, one thing I've been questioning as well a little bit, not a whole bunch, but like we're spoiled. You're spoiled. Pete Carroll, I think, was one of the best coaches when it came to being able to identify talent that could be developed. You know, a lot of those guys that became great players at USC, they weren't 5 stars. Sure, SC had a lot of great 5 stars. But I mean, you need to be able to go out there and get the guys that whatever the recruiting services say, but you go out and get the guys that no one's recruited, but you see something in them, right? And you bring them along and you make them something special. I think that's where USC's kind of missed. USC's kind of missed out on some of these big name guys that really just haven't really developed. Now, part of that was the previous coaching staff and the previous defensive previous defensive staff. I get that. I mean, look no further in Damani Jackson, how well he's doing, after he left.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult to see, but the Trojan fans out there that think that we're going to turn this thing around by just bringing in a quarterback, I'm really interested. Look, it gives us a lot of hope because, again, whatever you want to weigh in on, this year has been really difficult on Miller Moss. The season has been a long season, and he really has begun to struggle. So this is something new. It's a new start. It's almost like a kickstart, a fresh start, right? And I'm hoping that USC takes advantage of it. But you guys got to let Jayden be the player he is. He's not Superman. I'm just worried about people overreacting after game 1 if he struggles in any way, shape, or form. I think he comes out. I think they have a great game plan. And I do believe that he's going to have the talent around him to complement his skills, Coach. And we got another call. Well, we talked long enough. Hey, call. Oh, I know who this is. What's up? What's up, Paulie Walnuts?
Paulie Walnuts. And for once, I finally get to talk to Coach. I've been watching this show for the longest time. And let me tell you, man, I've had time to reflect. I got to stop calling the show right after losses because I stammer my words. I don't know what I'm talking about. My thoughts are all over the place. And this Wednesday show really just kind of hits the spot, man. It's just our Tuesday show, whatever we're on right now. But I love the midweek show. It just kind of gets things going for me. And getting back to what's going on, man, as far as of course, recruitment's been a big issue for me. I'm worried about it, and I'm glad. The thing with Lincoln, and I try to get this across to a lot of people, is the guy is still fairly a young coach. He's a young coach. Coach has evolved with time. And unfortunately for us, it's taken a while for him to kind of get out of these habits that he's had. He's loyal to his quarterbacks, and for him to make the move and finally, make this decision to put Jayden in, that's a huge move for a guy like Lincoln. And I'm proud of him for it. I'm proud of him to finally take that step to see the bigger picture and to know, what's at stake right now for that and for the Trojan fan base and what we expect. Of course we expect, like we said before, I talked about this microwave society we live in where everybody wants instant results. And for once, like I said, I keep bringing up the Michigan thing because I remember how the fan base wanted Harbaugh out of town. And to me, I think he's probably one of the best coaches I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'm not saying Lincoln's there, but I think he's evolving as a coach. And I really hope we can this will spark, add a little fire to what we're doing there. But on a positive note, it's the young kids evolving into getting that game time experience and learning from guys like Easton and the Mason Cobbs and getting out there and getting that game time experience is what's really important to me. And also showing recruits that you're going to come in and you're going to contribute. And this next class, I hope they realize that they're a big part of what we're planning here, and we need them and they need us. And so that's what I'm kind of hoping for there, man. I got to tell you, it's always a pleasure. It's my dad's 77th birthday. We're having cake.
Happy birthday.
How much the Trojan family means to me, gentlemen. It means this much to me that we're over here sitting there and talking. I said, guys, I'm sorry. I got to call the Conquest Show right now. I have to.
Well, listen.
So anyway, listen, my guys. You got what's that? Go ahead.
Hey, Paulie, you say happy birthday to Grandpa Walnuts for me because it's great. Tell him it's great having a son out here. You've been such a great supporter, man. Appreciate you calling in on your dad's birthday.
I really do. And Mr. Jimenez is a 29-year military veteran, decorated soldier, and he served in Vietnam. Proud of him. He's a great guy, and he has this deep voice, and he's like, "You call your Trojans, so Pablo, you call him, Paulie, go do it." So anyway, that's how important you guys are to me. And it's an honor, Coach, to finally, have him on the show. And I think the world of you guys that fight on. This thing's going to turn around. I feel it. And hopefully Lincoln will still be around for it. And I hope he is because, I'm not ready to give up on him yet. I believe in him. And I see him evolving, and that's a good thing. So let's go, baby. Fight on. And we're going to finish the season strong. I believe it. I firmly do. Take care, guys.
Right on, Paulie. Yeah, and thank you for your service, Mr. Jimenez. And Veterans Day is coming up, you guys. So make sure you let all those people that served, you let them know how proud and happy we are for their service. Yeah, I like Coach. I don't know if you know Paulie, but he's like the most positive dude in the world. And like
I see that. I see that.
He's saved me from some dark places after this season. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I'm glad. I know there's optimism right now in the program. And I know Paulie, no matter what's going to come with that positive attitude. Just want to really quickly, before we do anything else, to thank the guys. Really appreciate all the people. Every week, there's certain guys that tweet out, the show. Thank you to Rusty over Arrogant Nation, Preston, of course, Nico. Thank you so much. The Voice of College Football, obviously, Matt Stark. Thank you, buddy, and also Gabe. Thank you guys for the retweet. Always going to give you guys a shout out. So big to the show, so important getting our word out there. Also, while you guys were at it, if you would just take 1 second, can you go ahead and hit that like button for us? I know every show says it, but it really does help the show out a lot. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. That way, we're not supposed to go live today. We popped up just out of the blue to go ahead because we had to talk about the news. I told you guys, I promised you that whenever we do have something that is out of the ordinary, I know we have the Wednesday show every night at 7:00 Eastern, 10 Pacific. But if we do have something we need to talk about, we will pop up and do it. But Coach, I think, if we're not going to get any more calls in here, I think we might be ready to call it a night. So you guys, anyone just tuning in right now, we are taking your thoughts on, I took this picture. I was sitting there and it was just random. And I just thought to shoot it because it was Miller, wasn't really, this is during the Penn State game. And Miller was playing very well, but I just saw this picture opportunity, and I took it of Riley and Maiava. I don't even know why. Normally, it's pictures of 99% of the pictures are always of Riley and Miller together. But it was just a random time. I just shot that picture, and Coach, quarterbacks is the most important. Your quarterback is your most important position. On the field. I know there's a lot of, obviously everyone, all 11 on each side are always important on every play, but really a quarterback is the most important position. And I know we touched on it a little bit, but a move right now, again, you have a player like Jayden Maiava that's going to totally change the offense. What does that do to defenses? Because I'm sure they saw him play, last year, but they haven't seen, like, for instance, we went into Ann Arbor against Michigan. And we really did not know what to expect. I mean, Danton Lynn got the guys ready to go, but they ran that ball all over us. but then you saw a little bit of film. You were able to Danton was able to chase it around, and we shut down their offense because with our defense back then it was healthy. The question I have is, what kind of big advantage is USC looking forward to going into the game, playing Nebraska at home? By the way, guys, this is not a road game. This is a home game. This is where it's a homecoming game. And by the way, fans, just one more thing, public service announcement. We better not get Bruined. Don't you dare sell your tickets and let that thing be half Nebraska, because I'm hoping with all the excitement of Jayden Maiava starting, maybe that's going to breathe some breath and wake up some of our fans to show up. I really hope so. But what advantages do you think that's going to give us? Because there's no film on Jayden Maiava, and if anyone's thinking that anything you saw in the spring game has anything to do with anything, you saw nothing in the spring game. What Maiava's going to be running. How much of an advantage, Coach, as a defense, how much does that put them at a disadvantage?
Well, the disadvantage is that UCLA plays Iowa this weekend, right? Nebraska probably has a game. I'm not too sure. Notre Dame plays Army, believe it or not, which is unfortunate because I definitely wanted that Army-Navy undefeated matchup. So the thing you have to look at is that you don't have the time to prepare, and then the biggest thing is the unknown, right? And I think that was kind of the advantage against. Also, Nebraska is on a bye week, so Nebraska's
they're on a bye week.
Yeah. So the biggest thing still is the unknown, right? So you have to ask yourself, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? And when are they going to do it? Right? Third down calls change. Third down is the most important down in football. I don't care what you say. You always have to win on third down. So third down makes a big difference. P&10, which is the opening plays, those make a big difference. You don't know what their script is now. Everything changes. Tendencies are starting to change. Now you have Woody Marks and you have Maiava running the ball. There's, you know what I mean? Like a keep is dangerous in the game now. So just the unknown. The biggest thing is the unknown. So hopefully this does come out well. I'll be interested to see what he does and how he does it, and the way he changes his calls and how he scripts his plays. So that's one of the things I'm looking for. So yeah, but I guess I'm talking in circles now. But the biggest advantage is the unknown.
Yeah, it really is. And again, you're giving Lincoln 2 weeks, right, to work. Yep. Now they're not going to throw the playbook out, obviously, but there are going to be things that they're going to emphasize. There are going to be some wrinkles that they are going to be able to put in there. There probably going to be some plays that they're going to run and run. How do I put this right? They're going to be able to run. There's certain plays in the playbook that will be highlighted, that will be used a lot more than they were, because they're two different types of quarterbacks, and so you're going to see just a lot more effective run game. I think they are going to rely heavily on a lot of run game. I really think that's what you're going to see in this team. And then as soon as they come up to the box, Coach, as soon as they start coming up on that line, that's when Jayden's going to hit them over the top. And, you're going to see Lemon, or you're going to see Branch, or you're going to see Deuce get loose deep, and you're going to see all the magic happen. So I'm excited. It's going to be, at the very least, it's going to be something new, right?
It is. And you know what? I think there will be a bigger crowd than expected now that the quarterback change happened. You know what I mean? Because I think everybody's going to want to see it. And it's at 1:00. It's homecoming. They should have some visits in this weekend. This is the time that anytime SC plays at 1:00, you need to have your top recruits in, because the game will be over at 4. That's plenty of time in LA for you to get a guy to commit. Trust me, especially going to SC. So hopefully they have some recruits in. But I think we're going to get a big crowd. And if when we beat Nebraska. That battle for victory is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a big one now, because we also have the hot new toy in town that everybody's going to be talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also, Jayden Maiava. This is I can't remember. I think it was Rusty that had it on his tweet. Jayden Maiava, for the great Polynesian tradition we have here at USC. Yeah, he is the first starting quarterback ever at USC, which kind of, I mean, when you really think about it, that kind of shocked me. I mean, I don't know why it did, but it just seemed like, obviously if you count backwards on your quarterbacks, you realize that's true. But I did hear that. I was like, that was interesting. So that's what a great honor for the young man. It's going to be a great game. I do think I made the joke. I don't think no one. First off, we're never going to get Bruined. We're not going to have tarps out there. But make sure you get out there, you guys, and support the team, because one thing that also has disheartened me is now that we're not in the playoffs, people think the season's over. Oh well, the season's over. Do I have to remind you guys we played Notre Dame and UCLA? Since when did those games not matter to Trojans?
Yeah.
When those games don't matter to Trojans, it's almost like we shouldn't play football anymore. I'm sorry, that is a fact. You need the standard is championships. The standards is national championship, but so is beating the crap out of the Irish and beating the crap out of the Bruins. The day that ends, you guys, this isn't Trojan football.
Hey Tim, I want to address something real quick. Can you pop up that comment from Trojan Fight? It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one up. No,
fifth one up.
The fifth
that
one.
one.
That one. So, yeah, okay. They'll run a scout team with the mobile quarterback, or someone scouting as a mobile quarterback. But what plays are you running?
Yeah, that's my point. Right.
What plays?
That was the point.
You're running a scout team with what plays? You're just going to have a mobile quarterback running around. What cards are you drawing up? What tendencies are you picking up on film? What's the percentage of run pass on third down? When they're on the left hash, what's their percentage of run pass? When they're on the right hash, what's their percentage of run pass? When they're middle field, what's that percentage? When they're left hash, what's their favorite play? When they're on the right hash, what's their favorite play? You know what I mean? When they're in the green zone, which is between, for me, the green zone is between the 245s. What players are they running when they're in the green zone with this quarterback? Like, there's a lot more to just running with a backup, with a scout quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just do it that way. There's so much that goes into the scouting that I think that was just you can't just say, well, they'll just do that. There's never, well, they'll just do that in football. It's a big chess game. Sorry about that. Again,
great question. And, great point, Coach. It's not that you can't mimic, it happens all the time on scout teams, right? You put the guy in that's going to help, that's what the whole point of the scout team is. And so the problem you're going to have, though, is that you don't know the tendencies, like Coach is saying. You don't, you have film on what USC was under, the offense was under Miller and Moss. You don't really know the way they're going to run the ball with Miller. So, is it going to be as drastic as the Orgy thing? No, I think the Orgy and they had stuff in for Orgy. It was totally different, clearly, than they had for Warren. But I mean, it's a situation where USC is going to come out in that first half at home cooking. I would love to see it. I've been asking for it. We've seen it one time against Utah State. I want to see USC play 4 quarters on both sides of the ball.
Yes, I want to see a complete game. I want to see a complete game so bad. I want to see a complete game, Tim. I'm begging for a complete game. Begging.
And we got one more shot on the road. We've had some close ones, here at home. We got the road game at UCLA. Yes, people in the Midwest, that is a road game. We own the Rose Bowl, but we don't. That's not our home field. You want to see that there too. You want to see on a hostile, with a hostile crowd on foreign soil. You want to see the team go in there and have that attitude. And I have a lot of confidence in this team still. I'm not ready to throw this thing in. Do they have any really great postseason play opportunities? No, they don't. But there's still anyone saying out there's nothing to play for this season. Again, how long have you been a Trojan?
It's just a pride thing, though. Play for your pride.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, and that's what it is. It is pride. It's pride in USC. It's pride in the fact of beating Notre Dame. I mean, every time you play Notre Dame, every day, Marv Gu talked about it. That game is special. There is just something special about that game, and it doesn't matter. You throw the records out because that game is special. As much as people want to diminish not being, either team really has been at the top of their game. Notre Dame is most likely a playoff team, and they might be bubble-ish. Who knows? And if USC could put a pacing on them, wouldn't that be? It's not going to fix the season. That's not USC standard playing the spoiler, but it sure is nice. So keep that in mind.
I was listening to somebody, I forgot who it was, but they played in the league, and their team wasn't very good. He was like, once we got to week 9, our whole goal was to ruin people's chances to go to the playoff. Like, that was our whole goal. And I think they end up rolling off like 5 in a row at the end of the season and was on the like verge of being a wild card team. But there was like our whole goal was to get our bonuses and ruin people's chances to play in the playoff. So go ruin Notre Dame's chance to play in the playoff. If FC can't make it, then Notre Dame shouldn't make it either. That's how I look at it, right? If you're not there, you can't be there anymore.
Raul, we pretty much already covered this earlier in the show. You know, I mean, it's not like you're going to keep that a secret. That's going to get out. I mean, and to announce it, I mean, realistically, it's for your team as much as for anybody else. And I believe it was leaked out. So, I mean, the leaks are going to happen no matter what. You can't keep these things a secret. You know, there was a rumor. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to spread it. No, actually, I'm not going to. About, you know, how the players found out. I don't want to go in there, but it's like, you know, you name your starting quarterback. You know, there's a couple of things you can do with that. You can go for the big surprise, but do you think that they're surprised? I don't know. I mean, it would have been nice. What I would have liked to see really throughout the whole year would have been, you know, like how people just mess around and do things at the goal line, right? Like with their extra points and stuff like that. So sure, yeah, you know, they come out the swinging gate coach and they end up kicking it every time, right?
Yeah.
But what does the defense have to do every single week when you get ready to play a team like that? You got to spend a little bit of time on that damn stupid play. And every minute you can take away from them preparing for the game, you know, it's going to work. And that was one of the things that you want to see. They're going to have to prepare. They got to prepare for both quarterbacks. They really do. Because I think that, you know, Jayden Maiava is going to be the starting quarterback. And they know that Jayden is going to play. Well, the problem with Jayden is that they don't have the film. They know the playbook, but they don't know how Lincoln's going to use Jayden within that playbook. So they got to prepare for like all kinds of different quarterbacks. You know what I mean? They can't just go, okay, well, we think he's going to do this. Because by the way, if they go thinking that Jayden's just going to run the ball the entire time like an orgy, they're completely wrong. That kid has a hell of an arm. So if they do that, they're going to get torched. So I'm excited that they have to go into this game blind. They have film on Jayden Maiava last year, but they don't have film on Jayden Maiava this year. So they got to kind of prepare for a couple different quarterbacks. They're not going to know what they're going to see, Coach.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's nothing to follow up with that. Like I agree with you on that one. Because like you said, it's leaked, so we don't even know if it's true or not. Miller Moss could run out on the field.
It's true. It's true, Coach. There's way too much. Way too much. I don't know if you see the press conference. It is all true. All right, listen, you guys. We appreciate you guys. I told you I was gonna pop up here. It's a call-in show. We're not getting calls, so we're gonna call it a night. Thank you all for being here. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe on the way out. We will be here tomorrow, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. as always. Preston and I will be doing the regular Conquest Call-In Show. Hope we see you guys tomorrow. Until then, thank you, Coach. You can probably catch both me and Coach over on the LAFB channel and the network. You'll see us over there. I'm gonna start covering some basketball over there as well. So it's gonna be some double duty for me. So it should be fun times. All right, guys, fight on, and we're gonna catch everybody next time. Remember, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern for the regular Conquest Call-In Show. Fight on, you guys.